よくここが分かったな。
Well, still not as tough as a mother's chancla. Sasuke Uchiha, everyone's favorite edgy bad boy. Girls want to be him, e-boys want to be in him. Since the end of Naruto, Sasuke has become more of a second fiddle to Naruto, and as soon as they traded blows on top of that one hospital, it's here that the gifted child was no match to plot armor. I used to watch Naruto a lot back in the day before I became a edgy boy myself, but that's kind of before I found out more of his backstory into like the whole Uchiha clan getting wiped out. Like, man, you was annoying. And I felt like it was more annoying when you watched Shippuden, and majority of the time, the plot was actually just trying to find you and bring you back to the village. One thing I noticed in other anime that is going to always have a similar tropes. Making a romance anime, you're gonna have some ecchi. Maybe throwing some harem, you don't know. But if you're making an action anime, more specifically a shonen anime, you're always going to have a Sasuke clone. But why? Why do we call these characters Sasuke clones when himself is a clone of other Sasuke clones? But let's get started from the beginning.
I'm ready, believe.
Let's get started. Are there any in your squads who are ready for the exam? I recommend all 3 of these get in.
Some of you won't survive the exams, others will be wrecked for life.
Back in September of 1999, Naruto was published in Weekly Shonen Jump from September 21st, 1999 to November 10, 2013. That was a little over about to be 10 years now. Man, I'm old. In chapter 3 is where we actually meet Sasuke. With his cold and brooding demeanor, we get to start to wonder what's the story with him. On October 3rd, 2002 is when we got an anime adaptation. I think this is why people gravitate towards Sasuke a lot. So much is because of the timing and the demographic, who was watching it and at what time period at the same time. Especially since the anime came out in the early 2000s, the era of edginess. Everything from movies to comics was edgy. No one wanted to follow the lovable hero. The audience, which at the time was majority teenagers. You know, teenagers at the time had the rebellious phase, and to a few, their first anime was Naruto because of Toonami, and I'm pretty sure they gravitate towards Sasuke. And when they actually had the time to branch out into other animes, they started to notice that something about other anime characters that act a little like Sasuke. But that's not the case. In fact, none of these clones are anything like Sasuke. To explain, we gotta talk a little bit about Sasuke as a character. Sasuke is from the Uchiha clan, one of the most gifted clans in the Naruto universe, and one night his brother slaughters the whole clan and leaves him. From that day, Sasuke built his life around to kill his brother and getting stronger by any means necessary. And for the majority of the story, he's consistently thinking about he's better than everyone and no one is above him. And what categorizes as a Sasuke clone? Well, it seems like, for instance, the character that always has an emo look, always brooding, and always being a rival to the MC. That's one major fact of, you know, being deemed as a Sasuke clone. But that's just common tropes in any shonen anime. But why Sasuke? Well, I think it has to do with his popularity. Being that Naruto is most of everyone's first anime, so we can assume that the reason why people call other characters a clone is because that's the first time they're experiencing a character like Sasuke. But many of these characters don't act nor is a clone of Sasuke. Let's talk about some of these character clones that got themed as a clone. Let's start things off with the big 3. One Piece doesn't have any clones. Maybe you can say Law is a clone, or maybe Kid is a clone, but where I'm going to talk about is in Bleach. And in Bleach, we do have our favorite Quincy, Uria. I might be pronouncing the name wrong, I'm apologizing now. Uria Ishida. Now, this might be one of those most debatable choices for being deemed as a clone, but let's start this out. Uria is a rival of Ichigo and has the look of a Sasuke, but that is as far as the comparison goes. Sure, you could say Uria being a Quincy and a opposite of Ichigo is the same thing as Sasuke being Uchiha to Naruto. But at first glance, you could say that he's a clone, but once you get to know him, the character itself is a little different, and that's far from the truth. I've never seen Sasuke ever have a hobby like sewing, so I wouldn't really call Uryu a clone particularly, but he's just close in the looks wise. I'm also very excited to see that Bleach is coming back. If you have never watched Bleach, I do suggest watching it if you're gonna get more what I'm talking about. In the new age of anime, we got a bunch of new shows, and I'm going to talk about one today, and that show is going to be My Hero Academia's own Bakugo and Todoroki. And I know what you're probably thinking, but trust me, they have very similar traits to Sasuke, but they are not as a Sasuke clone as you think. Let's start off with everyone's favorite abuser, Bakugo. Now, in My Hero, Bakugo is the close childhood rival of Deku, and even though Bakugo isn't a part of any clan at the moment that I know of, or has an older brother that I know of, but what Bakugo actually has that have people confusing him as a clone is quite a few things actually. One is that he's the main rival of the MC. Two, at an early age, he's been shown to be gifted with his quirk powers and loved by others than the MC. And three, he's a fucking asshole. And no, I'm not being coy. He literally tells Deku to kill himself. Sorry, you two. And what does the fan base with abuse issues does? They ship him. Yeah, good job, everyone. But to me, Bakugo is an alright character. He has his flaws, but he kind of could bounce back at some point. Other than the abuse, his quirk and his design alone is very interesting to me. And do I find him screaming all the time annoying? No, because I grew up with Black Star, Kid Naruto, and Ed from Full Metal. That's just anime. But that's enough about Mr. Dynamite. Let's talk about the other half of this so-called clone with Icy Hot. And writing this actually is more closer to a Sasuke clone than I thought. If not the closest, to be honest. Let's start off with Todoroki. Todoroki is a secondary rival to Deku, but never had a hatred towards Deku like Sasuke did to Naruto in the beginning. He comes from a family of great power like the Uchiha clan, but conflicted by his father and his mother, the family is more broken, and his brother was one of the main antagonists of the story. If you didn't know that, spoiler already, that's a lot of small comparisons to Sasuke, but there's more other than that. Another thing I want to bring up that Todoroki is similar to Sasuke is that the girls in Class 1A do find him attractive, somewhat like how the girls in Hidden Leaf Village find Sasuke attractive. So with that, both Bakugo and Todoroki are somewhat split cloning of Sasuke, having similar traits but not too close. But imagine if these two were combined and their own original character. Yeah, that would be kind of crazy.
Let's go. You are you and nobody else. Don't let nobody change that. Everybody praise God. We are all powerful. We rule the world. That's what it's done. Be who you want to be and stay that way.
And it's still fucking broke bitches. Yeah, I can't fall in love with no bitches. Money came first, that's the difference in a broke nigga.
Other than having the traits, let's talk about characters that are closely resembling Sasuke, because I'm starting to notice that's a thing too. The more you look more emo and edgy, the closer you're going to be called a Sasuke clone. And I'm talking about Yuno from Black Clover and Megumi from Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay, gonna be real here for a quick sec. I only watched the anime of Jujutsu Kaisen, so for the most part, I know what I've seen so far. I haven't read the manga yet, but what I've seen, what can I say, is that Megumi looks like a Sasuke. He looks like a Uchiha, I guess you could say. But other than the looks, he's more secondary to Yuji. He does care about him a lot and felt shame when he thought Yuji died. And that's most I could really say about Megumi. Hopefully one day I can get off my fat ass and read the damn manga. In a world where wizards rule, we follow one orphan with no powers. But with hard work, he shows that he's able to stand toe to toe with the best of them. And that boy is Bruce Wayne. I mean Asta from Black Clover, a other contender for the new gen Big 3. Back when this show first premiered, a lot of people hated it, often because of Asta being the MC. Was more of a loudmouth, but can you blame him? I mean, if I was brought up to a society where everyone has powers and abilities and I don't, hell, I will be loud too. But Asta isn't the only orphan. Let me introduce you to his brother from an unknown mother, Yuno. Not Gasai, but Yuno, the popular opposite of Asta. In every way, while Asta has no powers and never got any grandma, he trained his body for majority of his life, using his strength to pick up where his non-magic can't. But for Yuno, not only he has magic, he got the first Wizard King's Grimoire, and he gets a wind spirit power up that wants to get railed by him. Belle, I don't know what you heard, but that's not how that works. But what makes him a clone, you say? Well, from appearance, he has the look and the attitude like earlier Sasuke, always brooding, and on top of being magically gifted and rivaling the loudmouth MC to be the Wizard King, aka the Hokage. You could say that Yuno is more of a clone than anyone else I brought up. I'm not saying it's for disrespect. I'm just saying he looks like Sasuke, but other than looks, he doesn't really gravitate to like the tropes of Sasuke. Because if you watch the anime / read the manga, you will know that Yuno actually cares for Asta a lot. He's his rival. He acknowledges him as a rival. That's something that Sasuke never really did. Majority of the time in Naruto, he didn't really see Naruto as a full-on rival, at least towards the end of the original series, and then a little bit in the Shippuden. It's the name Sasuke clone. We really call other anime characters a clone, where in fact the man himself is a clone of 2 other characters that also predates him. All right, let's go back for a second. This is Yoshihiro Togashi, manga author for great animes such as Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho. Now, I'm not going in depth with these series, but I can say go watch them. If you really love shonen anime, especially go watch Yu Yu Hakusho. That's one of my top favorite. I believe right now it's still on Hulu, but I'm going to talk about the character's archetype that Togashi made more popular, and that has to do with Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho and Kurapika from Hunter x Hunter, especially since both of them has the look and backstory and traits that Sasuke took, more close to Kurapika in some case. But let's start with Kurapika. Kurapika in this case being the sole last member of his clan that got manslaughtered by one of the main antagonists of the story, and being able to get a power boost with his special red eyes. But not like Sasuke, Kurapika doesn't try to rival Gon, but acts more of his own character, having his own mission, would and will help Gon if he asks to. Like, trust me, if you haven't watched Hunter x Hunter, go watch it. And if you want to recommend it, York New City arc is one of my favorite arcs in Hunter x Hunter. So with that, you could really kind of say that Sasuke is an archetype of Kurapika, having his backstory being the sole member of a highly respected clan that got manslaughtered, and also having, you know, red eye powers. But the difference between both of them is like Kurapika's red eye power doesn't really do any jujutsus and all that. It's just more of a power boost, where a Sharingan does a bunch of shit. And as for Hiei, he also comes from a snow clan of women who's afraid of him being a B-rank demon. But like Sasuke, he does play more of a rival to Yusuke, and his demon power allows him to make a third eye for a boost of power and a lot of really crazy abilities. Well, throwing that in there, Sasuke does have the edgy look and the rival aspect as Hiei, and acts more somewhat close between both of them. But other than the edgy look and the rival aspect, Hiei has more to him, like him making friends with Kurama and being protective to his sister. Honestly, Hiei and Itachi are more similar than anyone. So the fact that we say clone, when in fact we acknowledge that these characters have 1 or 2 similarities to Sasuke, and for Hiei and Kurapika, they are the original, yet still get called a clone by some. But this has no disrespect to Kishimaru or any of these artists who make these amazing stories. It's more of a fun thing to point out in my eyes. But if you like these animes, I'm not trying to disregard them at all. I'm just saying, why do we call him a clone? Why do we have the statement of Sasuke clone? Maybe one day we won't be able to call him that no more. But what do you guys think? Is there more clones I've missed? Let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you like that mid ad and want some gullapy in your life, click the link and get some much appreciated to you. And yeah, peace.